Education can be the gateway to a better life. And the world also needs more and more qualified tech workers. So today, we're talking with a company that is trying to solve these problems. Hey everybody, this is Chris Brandt here with another Future podcast. Today we're talking with Daniel Ponciano and Grace Yao from Perscalis. Perscalis believes that a thriving, diverse workforce requires equitable access to education, and they are educating the whole student, having given more than 20,000 students the hard and soft skills they need to succeed. The best part of this is that they do this for free. So let's talk with them about how it all works. Welcome, Daniel and Grace.
Hi, Chris. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. We're really happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here because I think I like what you're doing. I think it's cool stuff. I met you guys at first. I met you guys first at
Tech Week,
the Tech Week Chicago event, and you had a lot of people interested in your table and your booth, and so clearly there was a lot of interest there. But to get going here, can you tell me about how did Perscalis get started?
Perscalis was founded in New York, in the Bronx, specifically. It was founded over 25 years ago, actually. And
Wow.
yeah, and actually didn't start off as a training school, believe it or not. It actually started off as refurbishing computers for underprivileged communities. So it started off with that, right? Can you believe that? And then 25 years later, we have over 20 sites across the U.S. So it's really amazing what school has done over the past 25 years.
You guys were right next to the PCs for People table.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
That combination hits it all on all accounts.
Yes. It's actually so it started off as refurbishing computers. They were doing that, and then as they were doing that, they were actually applying to IT help desk roles because they were trained through Perscalis and how to refurbish computers. That they thought that they're like, hey, we're doing this. Why not apply for an IT tech role? And that's how it started. And Perscalis was like, hey, we're teaching people over here and over there and how to refurbish computers. Why not do a whole program of how you can refurbish a computer, a desktop, a printer, all of that. And yeah, 25 years later, now we have rigorous training programs throughout the US. So it's been amazing.
What is the ultimate mission? I mean, you started off as teaching people how to repair computers and refurbish computers, and now your curriculum is obviously significantly broader than that, right?
We want to make sure that that everyone that comes to Perscalis is prepared in many ways, such as their tech skills, their soft skills, their transferable skills. So diversifying the tech field is our main mission, and we do that through connecting our learners with different network opportunities, employment opportunities. After they're done with the training, we do all of that.
Yeah, and a lot of our learners that come through our doors and go through our programs are from usually backgrounds or demographics that are not usually historically represented in the field of tech. And so by, connecting different communities that traditionally might not have those on-ramps to those types of careers and jobs, we slowly are changing the face of tech.
Tech definitely needs more diverse voices, and especially now we're entering the world of artificial intelligence and things like that, and if we don't have a diverse workforce that is building these things, we're going to leave people behind in all of this. So I think your mission is particularly poignant right now, right?
For sure.
So you're talking about like building a more diverse workforce, right? And can you talk a little bit about like where your students are coming from?
For sure. So for our specific campus in Chicago, we have learners, I guess, geographically from all different neighborhoods in Chicago. So we have students coming from the south side of Chicago, north side. Some even come from the nearby suburbs. So geographically, they're coming from all over the city and Chicagoland area. In terms of, demographics and things like that, most of the learners that do come in through our doors are people of color. So 85% of our learners, graduates are people of color. And we also have a lot of learners who are women as well. So 41% of our learners are women. And because we're trying to provide, opportunities and more non-traditional pathways to these kind of careers and a non-traditional post-secondary education, we have about like 66% of our learners that only have a high school diploma, even though a lot of these careers usually require like a traditional 4-year degree. And in terms of different walks of life, we have so many different people coming from all sorts of situations. So some learners come through our doors because they are looking to change careers. Maybe they've been working in a certain industry that is no longer as sustainable, or maybe it's a little bit too physically taxing for their age. Like maybe someone's been working in manufacturing for a long time, or retail, or things like that, and they need some sort of job that's a little less labor intensive. Or there's people that have loved tech all their life, but maybe due to financial situations or other life events, they haven't had the opportunity to be able to pursue a formal education with tech. Or we also see individuals who are immigrants from other countries who maybe have certain degrees, but because of like certain language barriers or credentials not being recognized, they kind of have to like start over again, or start with education here in the US. So we have all types of different people. We welcome all sorts of people, all walks of life through our doors. And the one unifying thing that they have in common is the passion for technology and the passion for learning.
Well, and I was really surprised because I think, Daniel, you mentioned that the average age is in the 30s of people.
Yes.
I would have thought it would have skewed, much younger. But as you're explaining your demographics, I can see how that could skew older, and I could see, like even people who are kind of reaching the end of their careers would be potentially interested in pursuing this as well, too, right?
For sure. Yeah, we have a good handful of students that are 30 plus as well. And even though our kind of bell curve peaks around mid to late 20s, early 30s, we do have some individuals that are younger, like you were saying, that are fresh out of high school, maybe don't want to go through the really expensive route of a traditional, bachelor's degree program. And so Perscolis is like also a perfect option for them as well.
You are taking students who have maybe not had the kind of access that everybody else has had to both technology and resources. When you get these students in the door, like, what do you see? Because I know you provide a much more holistic approach to educating the whole student. And I'm going to ask you about that in a second. But, like when you see people come in, what kind of skills are you seeing that they're lacking? Is it the tech skills that are missing? Is it the job skills? Is it, what goes all into it, and what do you see that you're really providing there?
So for our learners, what I see is a lot of them have customer service skills. A lot of them have 10 plus customer service skills. They have tons of transferable skills that most of them don't realize that they have because they've been doing it for so long, that a lot of them, when they do come through our doors, I think the most challenging thing that they face is imposter syndrome, because they've been real comfortable in their careers, either 5-7 years. We do have right now a current learner who's been teaching education for the past 7 years and decided, because now we're in their summer break, during the summer break, they decided to pivot and do tech, which they had tons of transferable skills. The thing that they were missing were the tech skills, of course, but also trying to face that imposter syndrome. So having alumni come into the classroom that passed the program and currently working in the field, explaining, how did they overcome their imposter syndrome? How did they overcome the training program? What was their study habits like, right? What did they do to prepare themselves for the exam? Because they do have to take an exam to get certified. So after the 12, 15 weeks, they do receive an industry recognized credential. So I would say what they are missing is just having more people come in and explain and just letting them know that, hey, like I was once in your shoes, like it is possible, to get here where I'm at. Having more people in their shoes once upon a time come in, or alumni come in and explain to them, hey, like, yes, this 12-week course could be a little rigorous. Yes, it is Monday through Friday.
Right.
It is 9 to 5. It's a lot, right? But these 12 weeks are going to go by so fast that once you're done, like, of course, your first week, you're not going to feel the same as you are in the 12th week, right? If you're going to learn more tech skills, you're going to realize the more transferable skills that you have in your previous employment could definitely transfer into your first role of IT.
So I know that there's a lot of, there's requirements for income around this. So I would imagine, a lot of the folks in the program are coming from places where maybe they don't have great access to computer systems and internet access, and or even in some cases probably stable environments to study and do the work, and reliable transportation and all those sorts of things. So how do you help them manage all that?
We also provide learner support as they go through the program. So we have a designated learner support team that will work with them in terms of figuring out what resources that they might need to be connected to, whether that's like financial aid or mental health resources or housing or different things like that, to just be able to be that helping hand in order to like navigate all of that. There's
Sort of
also
meet them where they are.
meet them where they are. And we have like a designated financial coach as well for each cohort that can also work with them in terms of connecting them to financial resources, as well as helping them in terms of financial education. So teaching about coaching about like credit or budgeting, different ins and outs that they don't teach you at school, or they don't teach you,
Right. They don't teach
anywhere.
enough of it at school.
Exactly. So, those are some of the supports that we have built in to our program as well. We also do partner with a couple of organizations. I know you mentioned PCs with people earlier, and we actually do have an active partnership with them. So, for learners that maybe do not have like a device to be able to do the course, or maybe they need a more updated device to be able to run all the programs that they're going to be using during the course, we have laptops to provide for them as well. So we are still innovating and thinking of different ways that we can continue to support our learners. We know transportation especially is one of the challenges as well, since we are downtown and people are coming from everywhere. So we are brainstorming always, like trying to make sure we have some supports in place. But yeah, though some of the stuff, what I've mentioned, is what we're currently doing.
Yeah, I mean, I love that, because I would imagine you've probably got pretty good success rates with your students, because not a lot of programs kind of offer that additional support. I mean, the financial piece is amazing too. So I got to imagine that's super helpful to a lot of these people, because maybe they may be very tech savvy, but maybe those are the pieces that are sort of missing from them advancing, right?
For sure. Yeah, definitely like situation and like holistic supports. Like
Yeah,
we were saying earlier, like we serve the whole student. So
right.
we're not just concerned about how they're doing in the classroom, but we're also concerned how they're doing outside the classroom. And that might also not just be physical needs. Like Daniel said, it could be, imposter syndrome, managing test anxiety, or, all of the stressors and different mental battles you might have to fight when doing like a very intense educational program or training program. And I know you mentioned like, oh, we must have pretty good completion rates, and I
Yeah.
always love to brag about Chicago's
Yeah, definitely
completion
do.
rates. Yeah, so in the past year, in 2022, we were able to achieve a 95% graduation rate.
Wow.
Which is, I think, relatively high on the bell curve of like boot camps and like tech
Very high,
training
I would say.
camps.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've got a 95% certification rate as well, and an 88% employment rate for after they graduate the program.
Those are pretty good numbers.
Yeah, and so I think it's the uniqueness of, Perscolas's holistic approach that allows these students to be able to achieve the success that they do.
Like I mentioned in the introduction, I think there's so many business. I hear all the time. It's like, we can't
Mhm.
find people. We can't find people. We can't find
Mhm.
people with this. Can't find people with that.
Mhm.
There's definitely demand out there. So,
Mhm.
I like the fact that you're helping people, find those opportunities. And
Mhm.
and I think the approach you're taking, where you're really looking at the whole student and meeting them where they are, and really understanding the particular needs of those students, to get them to that finish line. That's an awesome thing you guys are doing.
Chris, additionally, what I like to say is that the program has two pillars that holds the whole 12, 15-week program together. You have, your technical base, which of course are super important, but also, we have professional development, which
Right.
helps them with, their face their imposter syndrome in one way or another. But
I know
also
all
we
about
have,
imposter syndrome.
yeah,
So if you
yeah,
want me to
yeah.
come and talk to somebody about imposter syndrome, I can do that.
For sure, for sure. But on top of that professional development, like we go over their resumes once, two, three times. We go over their cover letters. We want to make sure that they have their elevator pitches ready because, of course, they're going to go into the tech world and they need to know this stuff as well. It's not enough just to have the technical skills. We also need to show that they have people skills. That, our learners are ones we see in the workforce having lunch with, I want to have lunch with you. I see you're a people person. I see your customer service skills. So we have that included into professional development, as well as having mock interviews, because of course they are going to be interviewing. I wish we could just get that job, but of course there has to be, one, two, three sets rounds of interviews. And what we like to do is we tend to have in person and virtual, because of course they're going to be receiving,
Yeah.
especially after 2020, things definitely changed.
Yes.
So we do give them a little bit of both in person and virtual. And not just that, we show them how to prep for interviews, how to address their interview questions, how they could bring their transferable skills out, and just really, really sell themselves to get that first IT job.
I like when you said earlier that you're changing the face of IT, because I think, I've talked on the show a lot about diversity and equity, inclusion, accessibility, and things like that. And, the reason I talk a lot about that is because there's not a lot of it in tech. It's really, the tech industry is not really hitting the mark on diversity, I would say. And I think it's got to be difficult for, folks who are not seeing themselves represented in those jobs, as leaders in those companies and things like that. Just, trying to, when you talk about imposter syndrome and things like that, it makes that a lot more difficult when you're not seeing yourself represented in the field in which you're trying to go into. And I think that's a great thing that you're doing, is allowing more people to get into that field, so that it is, it looks more like what the United States looked like, or what
Mhm.
Chicago looks like. Right.
Mhm.
And I got to imagine that's, helpful. I mean, you've already put 20,000 people into jobs. So plus 20,000 plus,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Yes.
So
For sure.
that's got to help.
I think
Mhm.
what also helps is having um, alumni come back and really talk to them and really saying, hey, you do belong here. Hey, like,
Yeah.
I am working. I was once in your spot before, Like, yes, imposter syndrome is going to happen. Who doesn't have imposter syndrome, right? But
Yeah.
once these 12 weeks are done, you are an IT professional. You belong wherever you go. You become the environment you put yourself in.
When you talk about, DEIA and all that, um, the idea of sponsorship keeps coming up. It's because it's one thing to sort of be accepting of people and have diversity in hiring, but a lot of people don't advance because they don't have that level of sponsorship in their organization to like actually bring them up to that next level. Make sure that they get included in a meeting invite, or give them that key bit of advice, and to help them elevate themselves within an organization. And I love the fact that you're bringing the alumni back to kind of facilitate that. That's great.
Yeah, actually, we have alumni always reaching out, like ready to talk to the next cohort, ready to do. We just had a summer panel full with alumni, and just explaining their experience as a student, explaining their experience now as a IT professional. We had one of our success stories were actually a learner who was doing retail for about, I want to say, over 4 years, and then doing hospitality, and then came through this program. 12 weeks, still doing the program, still working full time, still managing all of that. And then now they're currently a data technician at Microsoft.
Those are amazing stories, and I think that's really speaks to what you're doing. What could you talk a little bit about? You say you got like what is 12 to 15 week course around there. Could you
Yes.
talk about like what is in that course? Like I'm sure, like Grace, you mentioned that it changes all the time, but like currently, like what would be included in that course?
Yeah, for sure. So right now we're offering 4 different training tracks. So the one that takes place in our downtown location in Chicago, we offer it hybrid. So Tuesdays, Fridays, they're in the classroom in person, and then the other 3 days are remote through Zoom. So
Okay.
that's the IT support course. Then we also have remote courses that learners are joining synchronously through Zoom as well, which is a cybersecurity, software engineering, and AWS Restart, which basically is cloud computing, but we
Yeah.
work specifically with the AWS system and console. So since IT support is kind of like our most popular and our most
In
people
demand.
are in demand because it's very I think learners are excited to be in person as well, to actually get like hands-on
Yeah.
physical experience, and so in that specific course there's ins and outs of troubleshooting, uh, updating, installing different things on a computer, networking, cabling, as well as working with hardware. So we cover all the basic skills that a person would need to obtain like an entry level IT support job, whether it's like a computer technician or an IT support analyst. Like Daniel was saying, like one day out of the week is going to be professional development, and a big portion of the course is dedicated to preparing for the certifications that they're going to take as well. So for IT support specifically, it's the CompTIA A plus and the Google IT support professional certifications
Cool.
that they'll take at the end. And for cybersecurity, software engineering, AWS, I can go into them with a lot of detail because that's what I do like every day. That's my job at Perscolis, just to talk about our courses.
Right.
But at a very high level, it's like cybersecurity, or for all of these, higher level courses as well. We have hands-on portions, even though it's remote. They get to work with all of the programs, the software that industry professionals would engage with every day on their day-to-day job. And so, cybersecurity, we prepare them for the CYSA plus CompTIA certification.
Mhm.
For software engineering, we're working with them to build the essential skills to become a web developer or a software developer. And so at the end, they get a very robust portfolio made up of projects that they've worked on in class assignments or in group projects working together that they can showcase to employers afterwards. And for AWS, they will be working on building cloud solutions with like real world scenarios, things that businesses or enterprises would be looking for. And they also will take the AWS Cloud Practitioner Certification exam at the end as well. So that's kind of just a high level of what our current courses look like.
What are the requirements to be considered to be a student at Perscalis?
You have to have, first of all, most importantly, a passion for technology, really wanting to get into tech. And the more nitty gritty technical things is you have to have a high school diploma at least, or equivalent, so a GED works as well. You have to have work authorization. So the aim of this program is to prepare you to be able to work in tech, and so having the work authorization already cleared before you go into this program is helpful. You have to be able to attend kind of like a full-time training schedule. As of now, we only have like our Monday through Friday 9 to 4 schedule. We have talked about alternative schedules maybe in the future, but nothing's set in stone. So you have to have the ability to commit to that time, and then you also have to I think reside within the U.S. And reside for the Chicago courses within Chicago or the surrounding area. And our courses are designed for individuals that are underemployed or a little bit more on the low income side. So we have an income cap of I think the annual household income can't exceed $107,000 per year. And those are kind of the basic requirements that someone must clear in order to be eligible for the program. But there's also other things that we're looking for in the interview and the assessment process. But that kind of like comes later.
And how many students do you take each unit?
Usually our class sizes are around like 20 to 30 individuals. So for our IT support course, we usually have on average like 20 students or 20 learners. And for our cybersecurity, software engineering, AWS, we in Chicago take around, I think, 5 to 15 per cohort, because those specific cohorts are blended with other learners from out of state as well.
Gotcha. And so how many cohorts do you do a year?
So we do many cohorts per year. I'm the only recruitment person, so I it's a lot, but happy to do it. We usually have like one per quarter for each of the different training tracks. So we usually have like a fall, a summer, and then a winter cohort for each of these different and it's kind of like rolling admission, so you can send in an application or apply at any time. We'll just have like different cohorts that are open at different times of the year.
Gotcha. And so if one wanted to become a student, what would be the process to make that happen?
First thing is to send in an application on our website. So it's perscolas.org/Chicago. There you'll see all the different training tracks, all the different information about each of them, like start dates, certifications, all of that stuff. And then once you click into it, you can send in an application. And after you apply, you'll automatically be prompted to register for our admissions overview, which is basically an info session, just so you can get a little bit more information about the nitty gritty of all of our programs. And then after that, there's an assessment, an interview, and then our decision will be made, and then you'll know if you're in or not. And that kind of is the flow of the admissions process. But usually, if learners have or prospective learners have any questions or any concerns or things like that, I usually have them connect directly with me. Send me an email, set up a meeting with me. I'm really happy to answer any questions, and it is like a relatively long process. There's like multiple steps that you go through, so it might be intimidating, but I'm there to make sure that it's like painless and not scary for everyone involved. So definitely, I am open to learners connecting with me as well, or prospective learners.
And I just want to reiterate that this is a free
Mhm.
program, correct?
Yes, free of charge, no catch at all. Because you'll see programs that maybe after you get hired, you have to pay them back, but you won't owe a single penny to Perscolas before, during, or after the program.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
That's got to be game changing for a lot of
Mhm.
folks. But I would imagine, on the other side of that, how do you sustain that? Like,
Mhm.
what is the secret sauce that allows you to do that?
We always get that question too. It's really funny. And in my interviews, a lot of people are like, this really sounds too good to be true.
It
Like,
does.
where are you getting your money? Like, what's happening behind the scenes? So we are lucky to have a lot of generous donors and a lot of different grants that we get our funding from in order to, cover tuition costs,
You're a
materials, and
501c3, right?
certification. Yes.
There's probably a lot of things that you need from the broader community as well. One is sort of, the engagement of businesses to hire these,
Mhm.
graduating students from the program, right? And so, like, if businesses were interested in, you know, talking to you about, placing some people, who should they talk to? What's the process there?
Every Priscola site has a director of business solutions. So
Okay.
not just, once they're done with their 12-week or 15-week program, they're on their own job searching, very, very much they're helping them along the way to navigate their job search because job search isn't easy and job search
Right.
isn't fun. So we do, our business director of business solutions connects them with, employers that they have, met either at networking events, at hiring events, wherever they meet them they have their connections with. So in this case, we send the director of business solutions sends out job leads once to all our alumni once they're done with their training programs. And this
Oh, okay.
consistent is not just you're getting one email from me of these job leads and then it's your job to apply for them, right? Our director of business solutions is actually really really great, and they send plenty of emails with job leads because again there is a demand for help desk roles, so there's tons of jobs out there. Again, the learner alumni are very much in charge of their job search, of course, but we still help them navigate that.
You probably have some great partnerships with some organizations that really, do a lot of heavy lifting in that regard, I would imagine.
I know our director of business solutions, Kelsey. Shout out to Kelsey. She's the best. Has like the full list of like where everyone's like been hired at, like
Mm-hmm.
who she's like connecting to. It's like a very long roster. I think nationally we have 850 plus employer partners that we partner
Wow.
with. I'm not sure about like the number specifically here in Chicago, but I do know that one of our biggest partnerships is with tech systems, and
Yeah.
so we get a lot of our learners hired for post graduation job opportunities through them. Some of their staff come to do mock interviews with us, sometimes too with our cohorts as well. Yeah, we have a really good relationship with them. I think we also have partnerships with like places like CDW. We sometimes work with like Microsoft or Google to set up little field trips, little office tours for our learners. And yeah, we are very much plugged into the local tech scene here in Chicago, and we're always, looking to
Always looking for more.
connect with. Yeah, always
Yeah.
looking for more. But yeah, Kelsey would be like the go-to person if like any business or any company wants to kind of get involved with hiring our Perscolians, as we say. Yeah. Mhm.
Perscolians. I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. So, I mean, beyond that, then, you mentioned, donations. I mean, we kind of talked a little bit about like volunteering opportunities. What do you have rolling on that side, and who should people who want to donate or participate in any way, who should they talk to?
For sure. I mean, we do have a site. It's perscolas.org/donate. But of course, volunteers. I mean, we're all our volunteers come to different agencies, different talent acquisition teams. But like having volunteers come in for like mock interviews were really great. Having volunteers come in to review their resume, because of course there's not a perfect resume out there, but I always let our learners know, I'm like, it's always good to get your resume reviewed by other people versus just, one or two.
And getting that LinkedIn profile, I think these days is probably more important than a resume, right?
Getting that LinkedIn profile set up is super important. Also, just making those connections on LinkedIn. What I like to say is like, the way you get yourself out there and the way you get your skills out there is through LinkedIn. So making sure that, all your skills are up there on LinkedIn. And we mentioned that on week 1, like every guest speaker we bring in, anybody who comes in to talk to our learners, we make sure to connect with them on LinkedIn, because that's how you start building your rapport. That's how you start building your network. And you just never know, because you never know who you're going to meet, because the world is small. So like you never know this, you might work with this person in a few years and you already have that connection with them on LinkedIn.
I love what you guys are doing. It's you're in the right place at the right time. I love that you're really plugged into the local scene as well, and that's very exciting. And I just want to say thanks so much for coming on and telling all of us about Perscolas, and wish you much success going forward.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. This was a really awesome opportunity, and thank you for thinking of spotlighting us. We hope that people will see this, people will get excited and want to come do our program.
You got me excited. So I mean, how hard
For
can
sure.
you get people excited? So yeah, so go check out Perscolas in any capacity that you have, whether as a learner or somebody who wants to help facilitate it going forward. So get out there and check out the website, and I'll put links for everything.
Yes,
for sure.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks for watching. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. And if you could, give us a subscribe, give us a like, and I will see you in the next one.